Balake, where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is present, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV. Guys, breaking bombshell news. David Miscavige has filed paperwork to run for U.S. Congress, is what some tricky trickster would like us to believe, based on what they have submitted to the federal website for the government's website for the Federal Election Commission. And I think we need to go through this filing and just isolate a couple things that really give away that this is a prank. This is a scam. This is a fraud. This is a hoax. We all know David Miscavige can't even show his face at the local Wendy's drive-thru. He's so busy hiding from subpoenas and lawsuits and grand jury investigations. And he's got a little problem of a missing wife and all this kind of stuff. And anyway, let me show this to you guys, because this was sent to me today by a state senator that I'm friends with. And it was sent to him by a judge who he's friends with. And I just think that there's a chance that you might see this thing floating around, or news coverage about this floating around. And I wanted to at least get it on record documenting why it's obviously false, other than like, there's no way Miscavige would do that, right? But let's take a look at this. This is the actual government, the federal government website for the Federal Election Commission. FEC Form 2, filing number, David Miscavige, 6331 Hollywood Boulevard, Suite 1200, Los Angeles, California, 90027. Guys, that address is a Scientology building obviously in Los Angeles. In Scientology, it's called the HGB. I believe HGB is short for a Hollywood Guarantee Building. It's a historical building. I don't actually know what Hollywood Guarantee Building means or why it's called that. I'm sure that the reason is historical, but it's also known as the L. Ron Hubbard Life Exhibition Building on Hollywood Boulevard. It is also the physical location of Scientology's middle management. And that is David Miscavige's legal address according to his California driver's license, which, by the way, is another giveaway, because you cannot run for Congress. You cannot run for Congress from a federal Florida district while being a citizen of the state of California. Identification number, Republican Party, office sought, House of Representatives, state and district of candidate, Florida, District 13. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you. Well, here's a Google search that I did in preparation for this video. I did a lot of deep dive research into this one. Oh, I'm trying to zoom in and my fingers won't let me. Okay. So it says members of the Senate and House must be at least 21 years old and a resident of the district where they have been elected, and must have lived in Florida for 2 years before running for election. David Miscavige is not a citizen of Florida. He is a citizen of the state of California. Okay, let's look at something else here. Now, Florida's 13th congressional district does happen to be the congressional district that includes Clearwater, Florida. So, okay, that's interesting. Fine, we get it. So, by the way, and also the thing that we're looking at here, that we were looking at on the Federal Election Commission website, was FEC Form 2, which is simply a statement of candidacy. But what is actually missing on the FEC website is Form 1, called the Statement of Organization Form. And I got a text message on this subject from another friend of mine who pointed out and says there is no Form 1 that's been filed for a candidate committee for Miscavige or Scientology. And if David Miscavige really were a candidate, there would be a Form 1 on file. So it really does look like it's just some rando filled out a Form 2 on the FEC website. And that is why we are seeing what we are seeing here. There is a little bit more further on worthy of looking at. Now, this is interesting that this came to my attention so quickly, because it looks like this form was only completed on the FEC website yesterday. Absolutely incredible. Some little tricky trickster prankster did this yesterday, and it's already making the rounds amongst actual elected politicians. Now, here's what I want to know. Any of you experts in the live chat or even just in the comment section for the replay. Has a crime been committed? Is this fraud? Is this a crime? Oh yeah, there was something else I wanted to show you here at the bottom. It says signed as Dave. Dave Miscavige. Dave Miscavige. Well, you know what? When he's sending letters, when Miscavige is sending letters and dispatches to people, he will sometimes sign it Dave. Much love, ML, Dave. But I don't think on any sort of an official registration form or any application or anything that's to do with public relations, you're never going to see him sign anything as Dave. And I mean, I'm just having a little bit of fun coming up with specific reasons to show how this is a fraud. But truthfully, David Miscavige does not show his face in public. The only time, depending on what we call public, like the only times over the last 10 or 15 years that I can, and I'm being conservative. Is that what I'm looking for? I don't think so. It could be 15, 20, 25 years that David Miscavige has shown his face in public is when Scientology is opening up one of these new buildings for an existing Scientology organization for his Ideal Org project. So when they're doing a ribbon yanking ceremony for the grand opening of an Ideal Org building, he will usually show up under heavy guard, no access in or out of the area, show up, give a speech on a stage for 10, 15 minutes, and then he's out of there. Miscavige does not appear in public. He could never do campaign events. He could never do campaign fundraisers, unless it was all done exclusively and strictly in the controlled premises of Scientology. Like the whole premise is silly. The whole premise is absolutely silly. Also, I think it's interesting to note Scientology's reputation is so incredibly toxic that no Scientologist, particularly in Clearwater, Florida, the Tampa Bay area, could ever get elected to office. Ever. I know people think that there's, the Clearwater City Council is all in the pocket of Scientology. They must all secretly be Scientologists. The Clearwater City Council, none of them are actually Scientologists. The thing is, the corrupting influence of Scientology's money allows them to control, pull the strings, have a chilling effect on the political process with respect to Scientology. So like, for example, Clearwater, Florida, our mayor right now, he's the interim temporary mayor, is Brian Ongst Sr. Brian Ongst Sr.'s son is the one personally responsible for helping Scientologists buy up all the property in Clearwater for David Miscavige. The mayor who quit, we had a mayor named Frank Hibbard who resigned in the middle of a city council meeting some months back. And it was the vacancy left by his resignation that Brian Ongst Sr. stepped in to be interim mayor. Frank Hibbard's best friend, Joe Burdett, is a lobbyist for Scientology. Frank Hibbard's first campaign manager was a woman named Mary Repper, who was also Scientology's lobbyist. So Scientology doesn't, and actually I even heard a story recently of a local Scientologist who wanted to run for city council. It was either in Clearwater or the city just to the north of us in Dunedin. And she wanted to run for city council. And the Office of Special Affairs specifically told her, do not run for office, because they did not want her and her candidacy and her campaign to serve as a lightning rod for criticism and negative press about Scientology. Isn't that interesting? People are worried about Scientologists secretly being elected to office, and Scientology is literally in a position where they are ordering their members not to run for office. We have seen some members try to run for office up in the Sheridan, Oregon, Portland, Oregon area, but they pretend they're not Scientologists, and then the media outs them as being Scientologists, and their any chance of winning gets completely torpedoed. I believe there was a Scientologist who successfully ran for something in Nevada. I always see Reno, Carson, whatever, to me, Nevada is all Las Vegas. What do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. So it's not, every now and then, here and there, you'll hear of some Scientologists who managed to get elected to some very low level thing, but not in Clearwater, Florida, you guys. Not in Clearwater, Florida. In fact, the current city council only has one member on it, council member Lena Teixeira. She is the only city council member in Clearwater's history, the first and only, to win her election exclusively due to the support she got from Scientologists. And you guys might know the reason she got all that support is because her competitor was me. I ran for Clearwater City Council just about 2 years ago. And the fact that I was running and Lena was running against me, there was a third person, a third candidate as well. The fact that I was running against Lena forced Scientology to turn out in droves to vote for her. And this was during an off-cycle election. So, a non-presidential election year. Voter turnout is extremely low in these elections. And we were able to prove by showing the actual the numbers from the voter registration and the turnout numbers that the voter turnout for Scientology, for the Sea Org members, was close to 100%, whereas voter turnout for the average population was closer to 20%. And Lena's victory, she beat me by less votes than there were Scientologists who voted. Isn't that incredible? Now, it's not that Scientologists have never voted for Clearwater City Council members before. It's that there's so few Scientologists, even in Clearwater, and so few of them usually vote, that even if the Scientologists happen to vote for the guy who won or the woman who won, that guy or gal would have won anyway, even without the Scientology vote. It's true. I've done the historical stats on this. Lena Teixeira is the first city council member to ever win specifically because the Scientologists supported her. So, but make of that what you will, right? Because the truth is the city council is extremely weak on the subject of Scientology. The only strong voice about Scientology on Clearwater City Council is Mark Bunker, famous Scientology whistleblower and critic. I mean, Mark's never a whistleblower. He's never been a Scientologist himself, but he's been a hugely effective critic over the last 20, 30 years. And he got elected. A Scientologist can't get elected to Clearwater City Council, but Mark Bunker got elected to Clearwater City Council. And he will be up for re-election here in the next couple months. His re-election campaign should start. So we're going to have an awful lot of fun with that. If we can get Mark Bunker elected to a second term, and it will be difficult. He had a 5-way race last time. 5-way race, and he won by the slimmest of margins. The Clearwater political establishment will not make that mistake again. They will not let more than 2 or 3 people, than 1 or 2 people run against Mark Bunker. The Clearwater political establishment does not like Mark Bunker. He is not one of them, and they do not appreciate him talking about Scientology at every city council meeting because they are all a bunch of cowards when it comes to Scientology, and Mark Bunker is not. So, for all of those reasons and many more, David Miscavige could never be running for Congress for the 13th congressional district in Florida. But it is a clever little hoax. I'm amused by it. I'm a little amused by it. I do wonder if it's a crime that was just committed, filing that fraudulent piece of paperwork, though. All right, let's see. Karen McCourt says, this can't be real. Karen, you are absolutely correct. Julie Denny, could this be a delay tactic for the civil case? No, it is just a prank. CO Boof, some truly dedicated chaos merchant could legally change name to David Miscavige and do lulzy things. Yes, and I would respect that. I would deeply respect that. Carousel Delirium, would you ever run again? Not in a million years would I consider running again. For a variety of reasons. Thank you, everyone. That's it for me for this evening. It's been a very busy day on YouTube. I think that's 4 videos for me, you guys. Wow. And it's only 8:30. Imagine that. Pretty good day. Thank you, everyone, for watching. So much more to come for the rest of this week and the rest of this year, let's be honest. Thank you to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have 6 subscribed or not,